guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. Boost! Peekaboo, I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. Available summer 2023, the album, Dad, Fringy, Shimmy, AF. Rock on, gold dust. Boost! Woman. Another beast. Happy Wednesday. Happy last day of May. How are you guys doing today? I am so excited to do this video. This is a Q&A, and I put it up over on my Instagram, and I got literally like hundreds of questions over there, many of which I have never answered before on video. So I'm going to do my best to answer those questions, raw and unedited, and give you guys all the details. Now, I have to tell you that something that's really funny. I have watched Q&As since the very beginning of time of me watching YouTube. You know, way back in the day, my favorite videos were like Q&As, what's in my bag, those kind of videos. I've loved those. So when I started my channel, I really wanted to dive right in and do Q&As, and I've done Q&As ever since I started my channel, and I love doing them to this day, right? But what is funny, I have to say, in watching other people's Q&As is that they seem to typically get the friskier questions, or the juicier questions, the more intimate questions, may you. Whereas I get questions like, Peter, what is your favorite Starbucks secret menu drink? Or, Peter, what is your favorite self-help book of life? And things like that. Or, Peter, what is the best piece of advice that you were ever given? Things like that, which I don't know if I should be offended or if I should be flattered by that. But today, I am choosing to be flattered that I don't get the friskier questions, okay? The frisky questions, so to speak, you know. All those questions that people hide behind anonymous profile pictures on their Instagram and they don't ask. Because I don't get asked those questions. You know, every once in a blue moon, somebody might come over there and be like, are you a top, are you a bottom, or how big is this? But very rarely do I ever get those questions. It's always like, what's your favorite TV show that you've watched in the last 3 months? Things like that. Which I just have to say, okay, I feel, honestly, it must all be in perception of how people perceive me. So I guess today, May 31st of 2023, I'm okay with not being a sex symbol. I've accepted that I am not the sex symbol of the world, okay? I'm okay with that, okay? I'm fine with being a storyteller. I'm fine with sharing my life with others and, you know, telling about my life on my vlog and things like that. Y'all don't see me as a sex symbol? Fine! I'm okay with it. But anyway, like I said, I did get tons and tons of questions, and I want to get right into it, and I'm going to try to pick. I went through and I read a lot of the questions, but of course I couldn't read all of them. So I'm going to go to the very first questions that I got, and then I'm going to kind of go work my way back up, and then go to the top and back and forth. I'm going to try to like move my way through all these questions and read them and kind of see, you know, like what you guys want to know and all this kind of stuff. Now, I will tell you, there was one overwhelming question, the theme of the question that I got in my questions on my Q&A. And I kind of really sat with this for a while and thought about, okay, do I want to talk about this now? This is not something that is like a kitchen secret. It's not something that I don't talk about, you know, with my friends and my family. I mean, everybody knows. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm starting to get a lot of comments about it on my vlog. It was like every third or fourth question that I got in my Q&A. So I was like, you know, I think today, and I have to say, I'm a little nervous coming out and talking about it. I'm a little emotional talking about it. But I thought, we'll just, right out of the gate, this is the question apparently everybody wants to know. So I'll just address it. And the question is whether or not I am going to drive again. Or when am I going to drive again? A lot of people ask that question. I mean, it's literally like every third or fourth question that I got. So here's the answer to that question. Today, I am not comfortable driving. Now, a lot of people are like, you know, you said that it would be a year, whatever. I'm very apprehensive anytime I get in a video and I talk about the accident. You know, I did a video coming back last year after the accident. I tried to share what had happened to the best of my ability, and I've actually been asked by quite a few people to be interviewed about it or to get on video and talk about what had happened and what I went through and things like that. And, you know, for me, and this is in working with my therapist and just my own conclusions and whatever, you know, there are people out there that were directly affected by the accident that for me, it's very important to be really considerate of them. And so I don't really like to come out and talk about it on a regular basis. And I think people think I'm kind of trying to hide from it, and that's just really not it at all. It's really out of respect for the other families that were involved, that I just... It's not just my story, and so I don't want to come out and talk about it, you know, at length and whatever. And I said when I did that video that I was going to do the video and it was going to be a one and done. And at that time, like, I didn't know the driving situation or where it was going to go. You know, at that time, my doctors had said that it would be like a year, and then we would look at the driving and situation and things like that. And to be honest with you, I didn't really think much about it. I've had medication changes in the last couple months. I think people know that. So I am not medically cleared to drive as of today. I don't know when that's going to happen. But outside of being medically cleared to drive, today I am not comfortable driving. And today I have chosen, and I don't know anytime in the near future that might change. I don't know. You know, and it's not necessarily related to fear, although I would say fear is a part of it. It's just, you know, that I had a breakthrough seizure, and came out of nowhere that I didn't expect. And I'm not sure today how comfortable I feel getting into a car and driving. I don't know how I feel about that. So it's something that I've talked to my therapist a lot about at length. It's something that I have, you know, talked to my husband about, my friends, on and on and on, my sponsor, and as of today, the choice I've made, whether I was medically cleared or not, is that I'm choosing not to drive as of today. So that's where we're at. So I know a lot of people are wondering about that. A lot of people are like, well, you know, you said it was going to be a year, and a year has passed. Well, a lot has happened, you know. And so people are like wondering why I'm not, you know, back in a car driving and things like that. And ultimately what it comes down to is that at this point, my decision is that I'm not going to drive right now. So that's where we're at today. And I know a lot of people want to know that. So... all right, so that was the most overwhelming question that I got, that a lot of people wanted to know on here about the driving situation. So I hope we can kind of put that to rest for a little bit. And I hope that people that comment on my vlog, that maybe you can send them over here and say, go watch Peter's, you know, Q&A. He addressed it in the Q&A, and then people will understand what's going on. So, but I just wanted to kind of come out and make that clear. And it's you know, the world that we live in today with Ubers and with the friends that I have and my family and things like that, I am not really feeling a need to have to get in a car and drive today. And so, and in all honesty, the craziest part is I don't really miss it. You know, I've worked a lot with my therapist on some subliminal fear associated with it. But like I said, as of today, I have decided that I'm not going to drive. So that's where we're at today. All right, so let's get into the other questions that I got on my Q&A. So somebody asked, favorite place to eat in Vegas? Oh, this is really, really tough because I have lots of places that I like to eat in Vegas. I would not say that the buffets are my favorite place to eat in Vegas. Actually, my husband and I, we were taken to, not like all these different restaurants are going through my head. A couple years ago, our friends took us to, oh shoot, now I can't remember. Okay, our friends took us to this Mexican restaurant called Javier's that I believe is in Aria, and our friends Melissa and Jason. And so we've gone there a couple times since. We love Javier's. Alex and I, for our anniversary, the last time that we went to a restaurant, I believe it was in the Encore, and it was called Sinatra's, and it was fantastic. It looked like a restaurant that you would sit in outside in New York City. But I have to tell you, my favorite restaurant that I've ever been to in Las Vegas, and I've only been to it one time, and Alex's cousin Maya, who lives in Las Vegas, she took us there, and it was called the Peppermint Grill or the Peppermill Grill or whatever. And it's kind of like this old diner that has a fireplace in the middle of it and like red couches and things like that. In all honesty, it kind of looks like a little bit like a strip club, but it's a diner, and they serve like nachos and chicken fingers and fries and stuff like that. And apparently like Elvis had his own booth there and stuff like that. It's very, very cool, and it's open 24 hours. And so she took us there like, I don't know, like 2 o'clock in the morning one night, and we just had such a blast, and it was so much fun, and the servers were so fantastic, and they were telling us all kinds of stories. I think it was also in the movie Casino. I think there's a scene where they show it in the movie Casino, if I'm remembering correctly. So I think that would probably be my favorite restaurant in Las Vegas. Okay, let's see. Oh, Christy said, why are you so cute? You're so sweet, Christy. Thank you so much. Somebody said, hold on, I'm just kind of like reading through these. What food do you miss most as a vegetarian? I am too, but I sometimes miss seafood. Well, I don't miss seafood because I never really ate seafood before being a vegetarian. I grew up, I never ate a lot of fish. I would eat like tuna fish salad sandwiches, crab meat rangoon, like at a Chinese restaurant. Every once in a while, I would eat like shrimp, like if it was like, you know, like fried shrimp or something like that. But typically I didn't really eat a lot of fish. And so I've never been somebody that's missed a lot of fish. I have to tell you what is so weird. So I was a vegetarian when I met Alex, and then I stopped being a vegetarian, and then I started being a vegetarian now. I think I'm coming up on like 6 years in August. I've been a vegetarian for 6 years. When I was a vegetarian before, I missed chicken fingers like crazy. Like, I craved them all the time. I thought about chicken fingers all the time. And then when I stopped being a vegetarian, I had chicken fingers, and I didn't really miss them at all, I realized. This time, it's really bizarre. I have really, like, when, like, my friends for birthdays and stuff want to go to steakhouses for dinner, which typically I have, like, a wedge salad without bacon, and then, like, a side, like, you know, mashed potatoes, or it's very starchy, very starchy. But typically, when we go, like, I find myself really missing having, like, a filet or something like that, which is so crazy to me because I never was a big steak eater before. I don't really miss cheeseburgers. I don't really miss a lot of that kind of stuff. And in the last month, since I got sick, I haven't been eating fast food really at all. And I don't really miss fast food. So I don't know about that, but like I will say that going to steakhouses, I miss like a good filet, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's just a smell or something like that, but not so bad that I'm gonna, you know, stop being a vegetarian. You know, a lot of people, there are several questions on here about me being a vegetarian, and it's interesting. I don't really, you know, it's been almost 6 years. I don't really remember how it all started. I do remember that I had like watched these propaganda videos. I think it was put out by like PETA or something like that. And in the video, it said something like, if you are a vegetarian for, and I had also read the book Skinny Bitch, which talks a lot about veganism and things like that and whatever. But I'd watched this propaganda video, and it was talking about, and I don't know if this is true or not, I'm just telling you what I saw in this video. It was like a 3-minute video, and it talked about, if you're a vegetarian for 30 days, you greatly reduce your carbon imprint in the world. And I was like, well, I can do that. And I was kind of up for the challenge, right? And so I was like, well, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to be a vegetarian for 30 days. And I don't know if you like watched my vlog back then, but I was like very careful because I had seen so many vegans and vegetarians on YouTube come out, and then they would stop being vegans or vegetarians, and they would just be like, you know, crucified in the comment sections and whatever. And so I was very careful about it. I was like, I don't know how long I'm going to be a vegetarian. This may only last 30 days. This only may last a week and whatever. And so I just, like, 30 days came and went, and then I just kept on doing it. I kept on doing it, you know, and then we went to a trip. I think that the following summer, we went to the Dominican Republic, and I can remember when we went there, I was like kind of like already decided that I wasn't going to be a vegetarian anymore. I was like, there's no way that I can make it through this trip eating as a vegetarian. And we like sat down to like eat lunch while we were waiting for our room to be ready, and the server came and he was like, you know, asking us what we wanted and whatever. And I was like so frustrated because I was like, there's nothing I'm gonna be able to eat and whatever. And so my husband kind of stepped in and talked to him and was like, so this guy brought out the most amazing grilled cheese sandwich in the entire world. And I ate it, and I was like kind of fine after that. And then it was interesting because like every restaurant that we went to at this resort, it was an all-inclusive resort that had like 6 or 7 restaurants. Every restaurant that we went to had like multiple vegan and vegetarian options. And so it was not difficult for me at all. And what I have just really found through the years is that it's rather easy for me to be a vegetarian. I can remember when I was a vegetarian before, it wasn't that easy. In Indianapolis, at least. I would go visit my friends in Denver and other places, and it was pretty easy, those places, to be a vegetarian. But in Indianapolis, the best that you could do is kind of to get a dinner salad. That's not the case anymore. Most restaurants that we go to have multiple vegan or vegetarian options, and I just kept it up. You know, it's not really something that I think about on a day-to-day basis. I mean, when I go to a restaurant, I, you know, scan the menu and I look at those kinds of things, but it's not really something that I'm like super fixated on today. I just don't really think of myself as like a meat eater, you know? So that's kind of where it's at today. All right, let's see. What is your opinion on the ghost hunters, Ed and Lorraine Warren? Well, I don't really know much about them other than the fact that they were, you know, the precipice for the movie, The Conjuring and Annabelle and those kinds of things. So I guess that's what I think about them. Will the Kardashians go away anytime soon? No, I'm sorry to tell y'all that I think you're stuck with the Kardashians. I think the Kardashians are here for a very, very long time, okay? I mean, at the end of the world, when the apocalypse hits, I think it will be, you know, like dinosaurs, Cher, and the Kardashians will probably still be around. So anyway, okay, let's see what else. Trying to read through these. I don't watch Real Housewives of New Jersey. A lot of people ask me that. Will I be watching the Real Housewives of New York? I'm gonna start watching it. We'll see. I'm not super excited about the new cast, but we'll see what I think. When was the last time you were clean shaven? So the last time I was clean shaven was actually at my wedding. I was gonna like just refer to this picture back here, but I moved the picture because people kept on telling me the picture was making my camera go out of focus. So if you haven't noticed, the last couple of videos, I've taken the picture, which was from our wedding, and I put it on the table over there. But the last time that I was clean shaven was at our wedding, which was in 2011. I actually did not, we were in Las Vegas for I think 10 or 11 days, and I didn't bring my electric razor with me, and I kind of let like a 5 o'clock shadow grow. And so it was like the third or fourth day, and I said to my husband, I said, what do you think about me growing out my beard? And he was like, I think that'd be sexy, you know, do it, right? And so I started doing it, and when we got back, I was like, well, I really want to keep it. The problem was that I had colored my hair since I was about 23 years old. My hair started turning white, salt and pepper at a very young age. I did not want that, so I colored my hair from like 23 until I was like 40 when I got married. And so what happened was I had this gray and white beard, and then my hair was brown. And I was actually over at my dad's house, and we were sitting around, and I look very similar to my dad. My dad has a white beard. My dad has white hair. He has since he was like 35, 40. And I said to him, my dad calls me Pete, just for reference. And so I said, you know, Dad, what do you think? Like, do you think I should, you know, color my beard, shave my beard? You know what? He goes, just let it go. He goes, just let it go. Be your authentic self. And so I did, and I let my hair start growing out and into this, you know, color that it is today. And it was funny because at the time, my hairstylist was like, I don't really think your hair is as white as you think it is. And I said, okay, just wait and we'll see. And I came back like 3 weeks later, and the regrowth was like that long. And she was like, oh my God, your hair is like so white. You know, I can't believe it. And so it only took me like 2 or 3 months to completely grow it out and have the brown cut out of my hair. So yeah, so it's been, I've had a beard ever since then. So since 2011 was the last time that I was clean shaven. I think about doing it for a video every once in a while, but it doesn't. The other thing is, it doesn't take me long to grow a beard. Like I just trimmed my beard yesterday, and probably by Friday I'll need to trim it again. So, yep, that's that. Okay. How did you become interested in true crime? You know, it's an interesting question when I saw this. I don't really know how I got interested in true crime. I shared this yesterday in my vlog. My grandfather, my dad's dad, was a homicide detective in Allen County, Fort Wayne, Indiana. And he actually solved like one of the very first murders that had occurred there. It was a wife that killed her husband. And my dad would share stories with me when I was a little kid about how my dad, when he was in high school, would watch Perry Mason with my grandfather. And within like 5 minutes of watching the show, my grandfather had it all figured out. I don't really remember a lot of that because my grandfather was so much older by the time that I was like born and growing up, but I used to hear all the stories about it. And in fact, my grandfather is supposedly, my aunt told me, on the cover of like True Crime or True Detective magazine or something like that about this murder case that occurred like way back like in the 50s or something. She keeps on telling me she's going to send it to me because she knows how interested I am in true crime. You know, I don't really know. I will say the resurgence of my interest in true crime started several years ago when I read Michelle McNamara's I'll Be Gone in the Dark, One Woman's Obsessive Search for the Golden State Killer. There was something about that book and her personal telling of her life interwoven with her search for who the Golden State Killer was that really piqued my interest in true crime. And also the way that she treated the victim and the survivors. That it was a whole new way of doing true crime. I had read a lot of true crime in the past, and it was always just very much facts about the serial killer and what had happened. And her book was done in a way that really paid homage to the victims and the survivors. And it was so enlightening to me. And, you know, for those of you that don't know, I have a true crime book club that I run with my good Judy Mel. Hey, Mel, how are you? And that is one of the things that we talk about often in the True Crime Book Club live streams, is the importance of paying homage to the victim and the survivors, and not just painting a glowing picture of the serial killer or the whoever, you know, did these tasks or did these horrible crimes, right? And so I think that's it. I think also one thing that's always been interesting to me since I've been sober, and this is not just talking about true crime, this is talking about drama on my drama channel or whatever, is people's motives behind why they do something is always very interesting to me. And so to watch true crime documentaries or to read true crime books or whatever, like, I'm always interested in the motive, like why, and not just like, well, he hated her because of this or whatever, but like really like their motive of planning it and how they go about it. Like, that's all very, very interesting to me. And for those of you that don't know, I allegedly had a run-in with Indianapolis serial killer Herb Baumeister from Fox Hollow Farms, which I actually did 2 to 3 videos over here. And so I can remember, and it was like 1996, and my old roommate and I, we were watching investigative reports, and they were talking about Herb Baumeister on the show. And that was kind of also a big point where I was like, my interest was piqued, because he was killing gay men in Indianapolis. And I can remember watching that episode, and they were showing like parts of this bar that we used to go to. And I was like, wow, this is like right in my own backyard. And it was very, very terrifying to me. It wasn't until years later when my friend Tanya Jean and I were at a meeting, and we were talking to this guy, and she said to him, thank God you guys were never picked up and killed by that Herb Baumeister guy, that serial killer. And he looked at me and he goes, do you not remember that we went to an after hours party at his house? And I had no recollection of it, because that was when I was blackout drinking, and I had no memory of it. Then flash forward, my friends Melissa and Aaron and I went and we did a paranormal investigation with several other people at Fox Hollow Farms, which was his home. And I like knew immediately where the bathroom was down in the basement. And the guy that owned the house was like, how did you know where it was? And I was like, it was very bizarre. Like, I had some memories of like being in the house. So I think a combination of all of that is kind of what got my interest in true crime. Any vacation plans? Yes, we have a trip planned for the end of this month for my birthday. And then Alex is going on a trip for his brother, Fufu, my brother-in-law, Fufu, Juan Carlos. He's getting married in October, and we're very excited about that. So we have the wedding in October, and then he is going to his bachelor party weekend in July. And then I am going with my book club, Good Judy, Nikki. She and I are flying out to visit our Good Judy and my book club partner, Mel, in August. And then Alex and I will probably go to Las Vegas for a couple days in August to celebrate our anniversary, because that's something that we try to do. So anyway, those are the trips that we have planned. Okay, Oh, this was a good question, I thought. Pick one YouTuber you would want to be put under a no-lies spell and made to do a tell-all. Okay, so here's the thing. I feel like with James Charles, like, we kind of know that a lot of the things that have come out, like, they have to garner some truth to it. There has to be some truth to it. I feel like with Jeffree Star, like, he has said things and retracted statements and pulled them out and whatever. I would like to put Jeffree Star under a no-lies thing, because there's so many things that I've heard behind the scenes that I would really want to know, like, you know, is there any truth to this? Is there not any truth to that? Blah, 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 whatever. Those are the things that I would want to know. So Jeffree Star would be, because a lot of the other things are things that, like, I don't really care about anymore or whatever, but with Jeffree Star, there's a lot that I would want to know. So I think Jeffree Star is probably who I would put underneath the no-lies spell. What got you interested in internet drama in the first place? Well, I feel like I've shared this a lot on this channel, but like, you know, when I started doing drama, it was Jeffree Star and Kat Von D, and then I had seen that over on the side, there were several other people that were doing drama about these things, and I was like, there's channels that are covering the drama that's going on with, I mean, I had no clue, right? And so I kind of just fell down the rabbit hole, and that's how I got started doing it and got interested in it. And then when I started watching all the different players and all the different things, like, it was like watching a reality show to me, and I was honestly very, very taken by it very quickly. It was just super interesting to me. Okay. Have the new laws being passed in Florida made you rethink moving there? Yes. What was the most valuable piece of advice you were given by your mother? Oh, this is interesting, and I was actually thinking about this earlier because my mother gave me many pearls of wisdom through the years. I'd have to say, so I was having an argument with my ex, and this was towards the end of our relationship, and I remember like coming to pick up my mom, and we were talking about it, and she said something to the effect of like, that makes me really sad. And I said, why? And she said, weeds grow fast in a garden, and once they start growing, they overtake the garden. And basically what she meant was that when you only start seeing the negative or the ugliness in a situation, that it kind of overlooks or overtakes any of the beauty or the positive of any of those situations. And I think in many areas of my life through the years, whether that be me covering YouTube drama or in my personal life or in friendships or relationships or whatever, I feel like that has been kind of like a constant, that sometimes like the weeds have overtaken the beauty, you know? And so I think that's probably the best piece of advice that she's ever given me. The best piece of advice my sponsor's ever given me, because somebody else asked this on here, what is let them twirl, let them spin. Because, you know, like whenever I'll be like, well, I don't know what to do with this or whatever, she'll just say, let them spin, let them twirl, just let them go. Let them have what they have to say. You're not in that. You're not, you know, just let them spin, let them twirl. That's what she always says to me. Okay. Favorite TV show 2023 mid-year so far? Oh God, that's a really hard question. I don't know, but I did just finish Saint X last night, and it's probably the first show. I would say Queen Charlotte's probably my favorite show so far of 2023. But last night I finished Saint X, which I had read the book several years ago. I think it was a pick for Peter's Book Club a couple years ago, and I didn't love the book. I was so taken with the show, and I actually ugly cried at the end of it. It was so fantastically done. If you're looking for a TV show to watch, I would highly recommend Saint X. It's on Hulu. So that's probably one of my favorite shows. Okay. Let's see. If you were to make another channel, what would it be? The only channel that I would ever make at this point would be if my husband and I were to do a couples channel together, and he has absolutely no desire to do that, so I have no plans for coming out with another channel. I think 6 is enough, you know? Okay. Favorite pastime, sitting on my front porch and talking to my neighbors. I absolutely love it, which is something I never thought I would say. One piece of advice you would give to yourself starting YouTube with what you know now. Oh God, that's a really good question. Well, just do it and do what you love, and don't ever get ate up. I mean, I think the one thing that has really saved me through the years is I've never really gotten ate up with the numbers and all that kind of stuff. And the other thing is, you know, like a lot of people ask me, they're like, well, you don't respond to a lot of comments. Well, this is kind of what happens. So like, let's say if I'm making this video right now, right? As soon as this video is done, I'll start rendering it on iMovie, and then I'll start uploading it. While I'm doing that, I'm making a Peterisms video, or I'm doing a vlog or whatever. And then when that's done, I'm uploading that. So it's like, for me to sit down and respond to comments, it's several hours later that I'm doing that. And I do go in and I do read most of the comments. One of the pieces of advice I would give to people is, if you're somebody that the comments are getting to you because you're too sensitive and they're too tough, and I've had many times of being on YouTube when the comments were just too much for me, I just couldn't handle them, just put your phone down. Just get off the comments. Don't read the comments. Let people have their say. I would never argue with people in the comment sections. I think to stand your ground and correct somebody, I think that's appropriate at times. But don't argue with people in the comment sections. Let people have their say and then go on about it, okay? Now, I will say this, and I said this recently on my vlog, just to make this clear. If somebody's going to come out and they're going to say something that's defamatory or ignorant in your comment sections, like for me personally, it's whenever somebody comes from my recovery or questions my recovery or says something about that, I made a decision recently. I'm going to block you with quickness, and I don't have a problem doing that. For many, many years, I allowed people just to say what they had to say and do what they had to do, and I'm at a point now in my life where it's like, you know what, I've gone through enough crap that I'm going to stand up, I'm going to defend myself, and if I feel like I need to block you, I'm going to block you. If you're coming out and you're saying things and you're questioning my recovery, this is going to stop. Hold on just a second. If you're coming out and you're questioning my recovery, I equate that to somebody wishing death on an addict. And this is very, very important to me, and I think a lot of people don't understand this, okay? I've been sober for 28 and a half years, all right? The reason why I share my story on YouTube, which I don't have to do, okay? The reason why I do it is not because I feel like I'm the gatekeeper of recovery, because I think it's important for people to know that I truly believe there are many, many different ways for people to get sober, okay? I'm just one story. I'm not even the ultimate answer to working a 12-step program. There's millions of people out there that are working 12-step programs, and they work them differently than I do. I'm just one experience, okay? And the reason that I do that is to plant the seed, because when I got sober, there were people out there that when I heard their stories, that they gave me the motivation and the hope that I could do that too. And so that was so graciously given to me that what I want to do in return is that I want to share that with other people so that maybe one person sitting out there says, and if, hey, listen, if only one person has ever been affected by it and thought to themselves, if Peter can stay sober, then maybe I can stay sober too, then I feel like I've done my job, okay? But if I plant the seed out there for somebody, even if they don't get sober today, maybe they get sober 5 years down the road and they think, well, Peter did it, maybe I can do it, you know? Then I feel like I'm doing my job. But when people come in and they start questioning every aspect of, well, you're lying about your sobriety date, or you don't really have a sponsor, and you don't do this and whatever, and I'm just like, listen, okay? When you are going to start like tearing somebody apart about their sobriety that is sharing so openly and forthright about their recovery, you are wishing death on that person. And we should be supporting addicts and alcoholics out there. Even people that are actively using, we should be giving them hope, we should be giving them motivation, and we should be wishing them life, not death. And it makes me very, very sad, okay, that there are enough trolls and people out there that don't like me and don't like other addicts in recovery on YouTube that want to come for our recovery. There's enough things that you can come for me for. There's a lot of things that you can come for me for. And I said this on my vlog the other day, and I guess I'm going to say it on here, okay? If you're one of those people out there that's going to be like, well, in 2018, on July 1st, you said this, and 3 months ago you said that, and these contradict each other, and you're a hypocrite and you're a liar. If you say that, okay, you're looking for that, and you're looking for the discrepancies, you're gonna find the discrepancies, all right? I'm telling you right now, if you're looking for the discrepancies, you're gonna find the discrepancies. There is a difference between blatant lies and discrepancies and somebody sharing stories of their life. My best friend, Tanya, she always says, you wanna know a real liar? A real liar is somebody that tells the same story the same way every single time, okay? Because they've got it down like a script. So if people are trying to look for, you know, discrepancies in my stories of recovery, and they want to come for me, and they want to say, well, you said this, and you said that, and blah, 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 whatever, listen, you're wishing death on an addict, okay? The fact that you would be so concerned with what the facts are of my life and my recovery, and if I'm still here or not, like, you should be thankful that I'm sharing my story of recovery at 28 and a half years sober. I wish that when I got sober, there was somebody out there that was on a YouTube video sharing their story that I could sit there and I could watch, and I could be like, oh, well, this is helpful and that's helpful and whatever. That's why I do it. I do it for those people, and I'm not going to stop doing it. I'm never going to stop sharing my story. I don't care how many nasty comments I get. I don't care how many questions I get about it that are ignorant. I don't care, okay? But just so you know, because I know, all right, that when you ask those questions, you're wishing death on an addict, because what you're saying is, I don't believe you, and that's not your place to say that, okay? It has nothing to do with you. What you should be doing is saying to somebody that's sober and trying to stay sober, whether they're sober for 3 hours, 3 days, 3 months, 3 years, whatever is, congratulations. Is there something that I can do to help you? What do you need as far as support? Those are the things that we should be saying. So when I get those questions, I've made this decision recently, I'm just going to block the people with quickness, okay? So if you're going to come over here and you're going to make those ignorant comments, just expect to get blocked. And I don't feel bad about it anymore, all right? And I went on and on about that, didn't I? All right. Let's go up here and see some of the top questions. Okay. Well, Mr. Dustin Daly asked me, who is the worst influencer you've had an experience with? The worst influencer I've ever had an experience with. Okay, well, I would say two. I would say Tati Westbrook, for one, because Tati at times had asked me not to make specific videos about things that I didn't even know what she was talking about. They were not even on my radar, and I respected her and was like, yeah, absolutely, I'm not gonna make a video about this, because I didn't even know what she was talking about, all right? And so I didn't make those videos. And then found out later that she had like unfollowed me and blocked me and all this kind of stuff. And I didn't understand it at all. When I had always been pretty gracious to Tati. You know, that's not going to stop me from getting in a video, okay? Just because somebody blocks me or unfollows me or whatever doesn't mean that I'm not going to get in a video and tell what I think the truth is, or you know what I mean? And if I support her, I'm going to support her in a video, whether she unfollowed me or blocked me or doesn't like me anymore or whatever. I'm still going to tell my truth in a video. So I would say Tati is the one that kind of like I wouldn't say it was a horrible experience, but it surprised me because I was like, girl, like I've literally had your back like a lot, and you're gonna come out and like I didn't understand it. So that was that. The second person I will say is Jeffree Star, and it's for a reason that I don't know, like, this is going to sound so petty when I get on here. I mean, I have a lot, and since I said in my video the other day that if I'm going to come out and I'm going to talk about something, I'm going to say it in a video, okay? I'm not going to just act like it, like other things you guys don't know, so I'll share it with you, and a lot of people do know this. Years and years and years ago, Jeffree Star and I talked, and he said something, and this was at the time that my husband's best friend was like really going through tough medical issues, okay? And she lived in Los Angeles at the time. And this is Alex's friend that has had a double lung transplant since then. And she's wanting to get on video and talk about her experience with all that kind of stuff because she's very passionate about helping other people with having going through what she went through. And so I was talking to him at the time, and he said, I would love to fly you and your husband out here, and he could see your friend, and you and I could get together, and we could do a video, and yada, yada, yada. I mean, I'm talking, this is like 5 years ago, you guys, okay? And so anyway, time goes by, I don't hear from him, whatever, blah, 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 whatever. And then it comes out, and that never came to fruition. And I asked him, I said, I'm very, very confused about this, okay? And at the time, a lot of people thought that it was because I was jealous of Rich Lux, because he was doing a video with Rich Lux, which it wasn't that I was jealous of Rich Lux, which I actually even owned to Rich Lux at the time and said, if it came across this way, you know, like, hey, I'm sorry, like, I don't want to be this jealous person. I'm confused. I'm confused as to why he said, the man said, I'm going to fly you out there, I'm going to fly your husband to see his sick friend, yada, 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 and then there was silence, crickets. When I reached out to Jeffree Star and I said to him, I'm confused as to why you're doing this video with somebody else, but yet you said you were going to fly me out there, he said, I never said that. That never occurred, when I literally have text messages to the contrary. So I was like, okay, we had that phone conversation, like that did happen. And at that time, that was when I knew that he was a straight up liar. Like, I mean, I had the conversation with the man. I can remember being at the post office in the car talking to him. I remember like other things that were happening at that time that we were talking about. The conversation definitely 100% occurred. And that was just the beginning for me of really seeing into the truth of who Jeffree Star is as a person. And so that is a major reason of why when I see things that he does, I don't necessarily believe them. I don't believe him when he comes out in videos and he says one thing and he's like, and I'm telling the truth and this is the truth, whatever. I don't think the man is capable of telling the truth, in all honesty, okay? I mean, he could have so easily said to me, and this is, people want to know why I'm really big on accountability and things like that, but this is one reason why, like, I am. I don't understand why people can't just own their story, right? Like, he could have just said to me, hey, you know what, Peter, I did say that to you. Things got really busy. Things got really crazy. You know, I'm doing this video with Rich. I don't know that we'll ever do this video with you. I'm sorry that I promised you that and it didn't happen. Whatever. It wasn't like I was 10 years old, okay? What I didn't understand was, why did you tell me that this was going to happen and then there was no follow through with that, right? I've had other people that I've asked, you know, that just right out of the gate, and I didn't ask for that. He offered that to me. I didn't ask to do a video. I didn't ask to fly out there. In fact, when he said he was going to fly me out there, I said, no, we can fly ourselves out there. We're totally, I mean, I can pay for my own flight out to Los Angeles. You don't need to do it. No, this is what we're going to do. We're going to sit down and do a video. I said, you don't need to do a video with me. No, we're going to do a video. We're going to sit down, blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, okay. You know, and that was part of the beginning of the manipulation that occurred behind the scenes, but it felt so personal to me because not only was it about me, but it was also about my husband going out there and seeing his friend at the time. And it was a very personal time for me. And I know that this probably sounds whiny and people are like, why do you care and whatever? Because I just felt like, why didn't you just come out and tell me, like, I never had any intention of flying you out here, or hey, I totally forgot about it, or hey, I'm sorry. Why can't you just own it? And that's one of the things that I have a major issue with most of these people is they cannot just own it. I have asked many of these people, I don't know if you guys remember this, but a few years ago, I wanted to do a lot of interviews with a lot of different people. I asked Manny and Laura directly. I said, can I interview you for this interview series that I'm going to do and talk about, you know, the drama, whatever, and everything that happened? And both of them were like, hey, I appreciate you asking me. I have no interest in doing that. We don't want to relive the drama at this time, right? And I totally respected that. Like, I mean, I've had other people that I reached out to. I reached out to Toddy when I was in Los Angeles, and I said, hey, can we meet up? Because she had said, if you're ever out here, we can meet up, we can go have coffee. I reached out to her. She said, hey, unfortunately, I'm super busy right now. I have this going on, I have that going on. She texted me back, and she was like, I can't meet up with you right now, right? So there's a lot of people out there that have been forthright and have been honest with me. He is not one of those people. And that's just one of many, many stories. And I don't want to make this whole video about him, but that's just one of many, many stories of how he has lied directly to me or to other people that I have witnessed. So when people say Jeffree Star doesn't lie, I'm like, Jeffree Star has lied directly to me and said that conversation never occurred. That conversation 100% occurred. Absolutely 100% occurred. So no, I don't think that the man is trustworthy. So he's probably the person that I would say is the influencer that I had the worst situation encounter with. Oh, my friend Aaron said, do you want to hang out soon? Yes, absolutely. Oh, Creason said, can I get a happy birthday? My birthday was today, May 30th. Happy birthday. Creason, happy belated birthday. Happy birthday to you. Okay, let's see. What other questions? All these Fleetwood Mac questions. Would love to hear what your favorite Fleetwood Mac album is. My favorite Fleetwood Mac album is, what do you call it? Is Rumors, obviously. My least favorite Fleetwood Mac album is Tusk, I think. Is that what it's called? It's Tusk? Yeah. And then my favorite Stevie Nicks album is Belladonna. Hands down. I love it. And my favorite song by her is Nightbird. That's my favorite Stevie Nicks song of life. I love her so much. Okay. I do not watch anime. Somebody asked me my opinion on Hey Dudes. Well, if you want to know my opinion on Hey Dudes, go watch my last rant video. You guys are so nice. Can you and Alex make a calendar with 12 of your best picks? I swear it would sell. I swear it would not sell. Hold on a second. How are you? I'm good. I'm having a good day today. How long were your parents together before you were born? I believe that my parents were together for about 5 years before I was born. How would you describe your style? Well, sexy chic. How would you describe my style of black t-shirts? So I have to tell you what's so funny about this, since somebody asked me this. So I'm fitting into like a lot of my clothes that didn't fit. I mean, I'm fitting into clothes that I have not been able to fit into in 10 or 11 years. And so yesterday I was like getting ready to get in the shower to go to my meeting and stuff last night. And my husband was laying in bed with the dog playing Township. He's like obsessed with that game. And so I was going through my closet because I'm trying to clean out a little bit of my closet at a time. And I went through these t-shirts and I found this t-shirt. And this is actually a Top Man t-shirt. Is it Top Man? Top Man t-shirt that I got at Nordstrom. And I paid like way too much for this. Probably like $60 for a black t-shirt. And I have not been able to wear it forever. And it's like, you guys, it is like baggy on me now. And I wore it to my meeting last night. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this fits. And a pair of black shorts that I didn't even know that I had. Okay. Let's see. When Alex goes out with friends, do you feel bad because you don't want to go? No, not at all. I love my time by myself. And he loves his time by himself. And, you know, I think it's interesting that I get a lot of these questions. People are always like, I don't know, like, you know, the last relationship that I was in, we were so enmeshed. I mean, we really rarely ever did anything apart, and it was really, really unhealthy for us. And the thing is that I don't talk a lot about in my videos is that the first 4 years that Alex and I were together, I mean, we were literally by our side, each other's side, 24 hours a day. I mean, we were a one-car family. So I would pick him up from work. We would go work out together. We would go eat dinner together. We would come back here on the weekends, which was Thursday through Sunday. We would go out every night together, pick out outfits together, take naps together, on and on. I mean, we were together all the time, right? And it was really a big part in what kind of led to us feeling smothered a little bit, to the extent that we didn't have our own identities and we didn't have our own lives. And that was at the point that I decided that I was going to come back to the rooms of recovery because I hadn't gone to meetings in 4 years. And at that point, we had made a decision that Friday nights were going to be date nights. Saturday night, I was going to go to my meeting because there was a candlelight meeting that I used to go to, and that he was going to go out with his friends, and then Sunday we would have brunch and all this kind of stuff. And I was going to, at that point, I think like 14 meetings a week. I was going to like 2 meetings a day. And it was really important for me at that time and good for me to like rediscover myself. And, you know, it's interesting whenever I get this question from people and they're always like, oh, your husband's always out doing things by himself and whatever. Well, my husband's going out to dinner with his friend Sarah tonight. You know, he's going out to dinner as soon as he gets off work at 6. He'll be home by like 8:30 or 9, right? And so from like 9 on, we'll watch Atlanta, we'll hang out in bed, we'll talk, on and on and on. And I think that's the part that people don't see. And so they think that my husband's out all the time, which if he was and we were okay with that, I don't know how that affects anybody else, but that's not the reality of a relationship. But I just have to say this, having been in a relationship where we were so enmeshed with each other and being in a relationship now, it takes me back to when I went and saw my very first therapist when I was getting out of treatment. And at that time, like, I did what you're not supposed to do, okay, when you get out of treatment. And that was that I found a magical boyfriend right away. I started dating this guy right out of treatment. That was the only person that was asking about me when I was in treatment, to my best friend. And so he lived in Champaign, Illinois at the time, and he would come over here on weekends. And I can remember saying to my therapist at that time, you know, like, don't you think we're so perfect? Like, we're like so alike. We spend all this time together, la, 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 whatever. And my therapist looked at me and he goes, no, I don't think so at all. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, I think a perfect relationship is when you have your life over here and they have their life over there and they cross in the middle and you share certain parts of your life, but you each have your own independent life. And I've always remembered that. But I didn't participate in that. In my first long-term relationship and my second long-term relationship, we were enmeshed, smothering each other. And so when Alex and I started going to therapy, marriage counseling, that was a huge part of it. Like, I felt like I needed to find myself and my identity, and he needed to find himself and his identity, and learn to fall in love with each other all over again. And it was super, super powerful, you know? So no, like, I don't feel bad. Like, he asks me to go to everything. He's like, do you want to go to dinner? Do you want to go to this? Do you want to go to that? Sometimes I say yes, and sometimes I say no, you know? So it is just what it is, and it's what works for our marriage, you know? And I think that a lot of people base what they have on judging other people, and I think it's easier to sit on the outside and say, well, their relationship or their marriage must be horrible because it's not what I have here. And you got to remember that what somebody else has doesn't necessarily mean that that's what works for you, you know? And I used to do that for years. I used to compare my relationship and my marriage to other people, and I'd say, well, they do this or they do that and whatever. And I would even bring it up in therapy. I'd say, well, so-and-so and so-and-so, they do this. And, you know, Alex would just like roll his eyes and he'd be like, we're not them. You know, we're two individual people and our relationship is completely different. And so today our relationship works fantastically. You know, a lot of people in here ask me for like advice on marriage or advice on like, you know, relationships or being newly married. I'd say no matter where you are in your relationship, marriage and relationships are tough. I was just talking about this in my vlog the other day. That, you know, the night before I got married, I asked a friend of mine who had been married for like 50 years. He was like 80. I said, what's the best piece of advice about marriage that you have? And he said, divorce is not an option. And I said, well, of course divorce is an option. It's always an option. He goes, no, you have to go into marriage with the attitude that divorce is not an option, that you're not going to get divorced, that you can work through everything. And I'm so proud of my marriage today. I'm so proud of my husband. We continue to grow and evolve, and we continue to meet each other where we're at, you know? Like, there's the scene in the movie Texasville with Annie Potts and Jeff Bridges, which is the sequel to The Last Picture Show. And there's a scene when she's laying in bed, and he comes into the room and he says, something's different about you. And she says, I change every day. And she says, women change every day and you don't even realize it. People change every day, right? I think when you stop learning to get to know your partner in new ways is when the relationship gets boring. It's when the passion dies. It's when the sex dies. It's when the interest dies. And you have no more interest in that. And then you become roommates. And that's happened to me in 2 prior relationships. And I don't ever want that to happen again, you know? And our relationship works great for us today. And I'm really proud of us. We've been together almost 15 years. August will be 15 years, you know? I saw somebody put up on Twitter today and they said, name a gay couple that's been together 10 years. And I thought, hell, we've been together 15 years. And I ain't trading him in yet. I love my husband. You know, he walks across the room in his underwear and I think, man, I got lucky. He is so sexy and nice and kind and compassionate and a caretaker and a partner for life. And I love every bit of it, you know? And I would get married to that man 100 times over if I could. I love him so much. And he loves me. And I'm so proud of what we've built together, you know? And to a lot of people, it wouldn't seem like much. But, you know, that independence that we each have and those friendships that we have outside of the relationship, that's only part of it, you know? I tell people a lot, one of the greatest things for us is that we have couples that we're friends with because I think that that strengthens the bond of being a couple. But you also have to have friendships outside of that too, you know? I have to get in the car with my good Judy Tanya Jean and she has to bitch about her husband and I bitch about my husband and then we're fine and we vent and then we're like, oh my God, I can't believe I love my man so much, you know? That's part of what happens in a marriage. So anyway, all right, let me get to just a few more questions. Oh, I thought this was a good question. Somebody said, do you ever worry that servers will accidentally serve alcohol? Because I do for me. I will say, I don't typically worry about that. I don't really go to a lot of bars anymore. If I go somewhere where they're serving alcohol rampantly like a bar, I typically get a bottle of water or a Red Bull and I drink it out of the can. Or very rarely do I get like a Diet Coke because I don't like it just being like in a plastic cup and it looking like a drink. I'm very aware of those kinds of things. So no, I'm not too worried about it. When I do get a Diet Coke, or if I do get something and I'm worried that there might be alcohol in it, or I think like maybe they didn't hear like how we ordered it or whatever, I'll have my husband taste it or, you know, drink it and see if there's alcohol in it. Or if I'm with a friend, I'll be like, can you taste this or smell this and see if there's alcohol in it? I typically always smell drinks first before I drink them to see if there's any hint of alcohol. And I can smell alcohol a mile away. So I don't really worry about that too much. I also think that the world that we live in today, it's very similar to vegetarianism, that I have met so many servers that are very, very aware of addiction and alcoholism that as soon as you share your story, you say like, I'm sober or whatever. Like if sober friends of mine sit down at dinner and they put wine glasses out and we're like, oh, we're sober, we don't drink. Like they get it very quickly, you know? And most of them have friends that are sober, and most people that work in the restaurant industry or the bar industry, I mean, it's not like, there's a lot of people that have addiction issues that work in that industry, and so they're aware of it, you know, they get it, they understand it, and they are always very, very supportive of it, you know. Okay, if you could read any book for the first time again, which would it be? And I'm going to make this my last question because this has gotten really long. It's almost at an hour. I was thinking about this question when I saw it, and I was thinking about this because I have like 5 or 6 favorite books, 4 or 5 favorite books. I mean, I think most people know I love the book To Kill a Mockingbird, but it's really more about the memories to me, and I love the movie more than the book because my mom and I would watch that movie every summer and every fall. And I love the innocence of Scout, Jean Louise Finch, the innocence of her and how she sees the world to me is just fantastic to this day. But I read the book a couple years ago, and I listened to it on Audible, and it was it was narrated by Sissy Spacek, and I didn't love it. It was something that like was missed for me. I felt like Sissy Spacek was kind of making it her own a little bit. So that wouldn't be it. I love Dumplin' by Julie Murphy. I love The Hate You Give by Angie Thompson or Thomas. I love The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. And those are some of my favorite books. And also the Misfortune series by Jana DeLeon. I think if I was going to get anybody into reading, I would tell them to read the Misfortune series by Jana DeLeon. Because I think that they're just really fun books, and they're great cozy mysteries, and it's a long series, and you finish one and you want to read the next one, and it really developed for me, or redeveloped for me, a love of reading again. I think of the other books, it would be a mix between The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas and Dumplin' by Julie Murphy. Both books, I learned so much about myself and my perspective of the world through the eyes of 2 fantastic characters. And you know, and I've seen both of the movies, and I thought both of the movies were fantastic, but I will say that the books were 10 times better. And I can remember just sobbing reading The Hate You Give, and just sobbing reading Dumplin', and just, I don't know, I saw the world in a completely different way, and I think that an author that is just a genius, masterful talent is able to show you the world through somebody else's eyes, through the role of a character. That's just genius, you know? And I was able to do that through those 2 books. So I think those would be the 2 books that I would have somebody read or share with somebody else. So anyway, let me know what you think about all of that in the comment section below. I had a really fun time doing this. I hope that answered some questions for you guys that certain things you didn't know about me. But anyway, I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.